Hello and welcome back to the Dream Home Doorway podcast. My name is Rachel Starrett, and today's episode is all about the construction phases of building your dream home. I'm excited to have with us Tom Stafford, an expert in the field. And whether you're a newcomer or seasoned in home construction, Tom will guide us through the essential steps in a straightforward and easy to understand way. So relax, grab a notepad, and let's jump right in. All right, Tom, so excited to have you here with me today. I'd love to start by having you introduce yourself and share a little bit about your background and your experience in the industry.
All right, good morning, Rachel. My name is Tom Stafford. I'm the production manager with Red Door Homes. Been in the construction business since 1993. Obtained my general contractor's license in 1995, where I opened up my own company until 2011. Started with Red Door Homes at that time as a builder, worked my way up to a builder manager. Then on to production manager for all four of the Red Door Homes offices at this time.
Great. So I imagine over the years, you've probably seen a thing or two in our industry.
Yeah, I can't say that I've seen it all or encountered everything. You think as long as you've been in the business, or as long as I've been in the business, 30 plus years, you think you see it all, but tomorrow's another day. So well versed on start of construction, balancing your lot all the way through the end of construction. So I continue to look forward to it every day.
Yes. And now we've all got some experience under our belts building during a pandemic. So we can continue to move on from there.
Yeah, I think we've all learned from the pandemic. Obviously, there was a lot of kind of nonsense, but we've taken kind of some new measures and input that into our everyday lives. And yeah, I think some of that has been good.
Right. Well, before we talk about the actual construction of the home, I feel like we need to spend a little bit of time talking about the land that we actually build on. How much does the land itself impact how you actually build a home?
Well, the land is very important. Obviously, it's the start of what we look at in order to be able to build a home. Um, there is a lot of slope, topography, understanding that to develop what type of foundation is required on that particular property or lot in our case. And there's a lot of measures that come into play when someone comes to us to see if we can build a house on that.
hmm So, from my experience as well, I've purchased land and built with Red Door too. And there were some initial pieces of land that I was really excited about. And then obviously with the help of Red Door, kind of determined that it would either be difficult to build on or potentially out of my price range to build on. Can you share some factors that make it either easier or more difficult to build on for those who are out there kind of searching right now?
Sure. We'll start with easier. Easier, anything that would be kind of on a flat topo where you don't have much fall at all is obviously going to be easier from a point of building and obviously from a customer's budget perspective. A lot of things go into play for level, if you will, or very little slope on a property. On the flip side of that, when you have a lot of topography, a lot of slope, um, rolling hills, it creates other issues, creates more cost, obviously, for the customer, and it creates some difficulties from a build process. Much different type of foundation than a mono slab on something that is relatively flat. Obviously, you can get into partial basements, crawl spaces, just more cost and a little longer process through the construction.
Gotcha. Okay. So, and we hear this all the time, especially when people reach out and they have land and they'll say, well, my land is flat, but flat and level are two different things. And can you shed just a little bit of light on really how flat does a piece of or level does a piece of land need to be to build on a monolithic slab foundation?
Sure. We have some parameters that we look at with our builders, and obviously a general rule of thumb. But if in fact we're going out to do a lot of evaluation, a foundation assessment on that, we typically like to see something that is from zero, obviously being flat, to 8 inches, less than 8 inches of being out of level, if you will. So typically that is the parameters we use for something that we can obtain a mono slab on. Now there's obviously things that we could cut and fill to create that, but we typically use that as up to 8 inches.
Great. And there are a lot of people out there who want a crawl space or a raised foundation, and that's perfect too. But if you're out there and you're looking for land right now and you're wondering, well, how can I be as economical as possible with my budget? That's a big part of it. So the flatter or level the land, the lower the budget you would need for the foundation, because we do include a monolithic slab foundation in the pricing that you see on our website. So that's some helpful information for those out there. And if you already own your land, we can certainly do an assessment. And maybe, Tom, you can speak to that. How do we actually assess the land for construction? What's kind of the red door homes piece of that? How do we help our potential homeowners?
Sure. Well, we obviously have interest from our online sales team, walk-ins, looking to build homes with us, but really don't know the process and what they're really looking for. Customers that come to us that obviously have a piece of property or maybe family land in mind, they will come in as a prospect. We will gather the information. Our sales team will. We will then set them up with what we call a pre-lot evaluation, not under contract at this time. And this is from Red Door Homes. This is free to the customer, which is very valuable. Free to the customer. We then set up in that particular location who the builder may be for that. The foundation, the lot evaluation is then set out to them. They will go out there without the homeowner to evaluate the property. We at that time we take a look at the entire property of where the homeowner wants to build the home. They are asked at that time to take a sign, a Red Door Home sign, and place that of where they feel like they want the home. Our builder will then go out there and, as I said, to assess the property. They'll make suggestions if they feel like that is the best location on the property, or if they feel like it's better location for whatever reason. They will go ahead and address that, move the sign, and let the customer and the sales team know. Through that process, they will get their laser out. They'll go ahead and shoot the elevations to determine, as we talked about earlier, are we within 8 inches? Are we within 16 inches? Are we within 36 inches? And determine the foundation type that we feel like would be better suit for that piece of property. That information then is sent back into the office. We analyze the information and determine at that time what type of foundation will be best for their particular area.
Yeah, and the great thing is, at this point, the customer may not have even decided to build with us. So, if you've got land or you're even considering putting an offer on land or you'd like to purchase land, whether you're building with Red Door Homes or someone else, we definitely recommend getting someone involved early in your land search stage to make sure that the piece of property that you choose will fit within your budget to build on, and also that the home that you want would fit. And so the great thing about our free land evaluation is that you have all of that information before you even decide if we're the best option for you, because it is such a critical part of the entire journey, is making sure you've got the right piece of property for your budget and for the home. Okay, so now we've completed the free land evaluation and the homeowner decides to partner with us and build their home. Yay. What comes next?
What comes next is obviously we at that time we go into the loan part of that. If in fact the homeowner needs to create a loan, We go through a loan process that typically takes, I guess, 8 to 10 weeks at this time frame. We wait on their closing of their property and their construction loan, and then we're ready to start the first stages of construction, which would involve permitting. So submitting for all of their permits, along with building permit. Obviously, a lot of times we have to do septic for environmental health, along with well, which is a little longer process within the pre-construction. Sometimes we're handed a county which has county water and sewer, a little easier process, but still has to be the permit part of that filled out and processed. These days, today, municipalities are taking anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks, depending on where we're building. So that all has to be factored into the start of construction as well. We have processes that we abide by, if you will, from pre-construction to try to accommodate that so that's not held up on the front end ready to start construction.
Okay, and so the good news too is that Red Door Homes actually handles all of this, for the most part for the customer. So there's some things that the customer, has to be responsible for. Tom, what are some things that the customer is going to be doing at this point, and really what is Red Door Homes kind of taking care of before we actually start construction?
Sure. As you mentioned, we are involved in the process of submitting for all permits. The permit will go Red Door Homes, but a lot of that information from a county's perspective, if in fact it is for septic, that will be filled out as directed by the customer. We're there to help accommodate, but that really needs to be pushed from the customer's perspective, along with the well permit and county sewer, if that's the case. That will all have to be in their name, their property owner, their name. And then the other part of that is we ask for them to go ahead and get their power company account set up. So that's not a delay on the front end, because obviously before we start construction, we have to have our electrician set a temporary pole. All of the power, again, just like water and sewer, will be in the customer's name. If all of that can be set up prior to start of construction, that minimizes any kind of delays that we have getting started.
Yeah, and having done that myself as well, it was really simple, not time consuming, and Red Door handled the rest, which was great. Before we jump into the actual construction side of things, overall, how long does construction typically take, and what might cause that timeline to vary?
Yeah, today, if we're talking about today, we're looking probably somewhere between 4 and 5 months, typically 18 to 20 weeks for construction. And that is from start of construction to completion. It has nothing to do with the pre-construction through the lending process. But if we're just talking about construction itself, I would think today we're somewhere between 4 and 5 months, 18 to 20 weeks. And some things that obviously can delay that time frame. You have supply chain problems that were much better than we were through the COVID years, but still we have some supply chain problems with materials. You have weather delays, obviously, that we try to maneuver through as best as we can, but we can't control all of that. Other things are labor shortages, so subcontractor labor shortages that can very well impact that. We have a great deal of laborers that we subcontract, so we're not experiencing that as much today, but that is an ongoing issue. Communication. So communication all the way around, from our perspective, homeowners' perspective, lending perspective, that can also vary from the construction timeline. And then, in my opinion, fluctuating economy. The fluctuating economy on the front end can certainly delay that as well.
Okay, yes, really great information for sure. So now that we've got our permitting and our land preparation is complete, we know our time frame more or less. Can you talk about what the next steps are now that we're actually breaking ground?
Sure. So now that we've got our permits, we're into the start date. The first part of that would be Depending on the foundation type, we are setting up for a mono slab or we're digging footings for a block and fill or a crawl space. Therefore, once that is done, typically takes about 1 to 3 days, depending on the foundation type. That will need to be inspected, and there's a few inspections prior to foundation just going in, depending on the foundation type. Once your foundation is installed, whether it's a crawl space, block and fill, or your mono slab, then the next thing is obviously we have been in the process of ordering framing materials. So framing materials would be dropped on job, and then interesting enough, it's really the front end of construction, in my opinion, and what I always tell homeowners is you typically have a parcel of land, property, a lot that has standing trees and no home, obviously. Within 2 to 3 weeks of start of construction, that is completely different. You will see typically after about a 3 week period, you will have a home standing. That is the quick part of construction, as obviously you can see from your eyes. But normally, once we get into the process of rough ends, interior trim, sheetrock, stuff like that, is where you really don't physically, from an exterior point, see the home moving along, but it will be internally.
Okay. And obviously we know that things don't always go perfect when, you're building a home. How do you address and resolve issues or challenges during the construction process?
So it really all comes down to communication, but we ask the customer and we give them information on the front end that there will be hurdles, there'll be bumps in the road through construction. As you know, as you mentioned, it's not perfect. It's not perfect from what you see and or a timeline. So it's really on upfront communication, making the customer aware. And when we do encounter situations like this, delays, issues, we're upfront with them, communicating with them, showing them that we are on top of it. We acknowledge the problems, we acknowledge the situations, the timelines, but we're doing our best to move this project forward. Our builders are very involved in the communication part of that, not only with our homeowners, but with our trade base. And we understand that from a customer's perspective, it's very important to stay on task.
Absolutely. And on the flip side, what measures do you have in place to ensure the quality of construction?
So we have a lot of measures for quality. That's one of my big pet peeves. Obviously, we are managing the construction site from a builder's perspective. We have a lot of people that we're managing on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. So we utilize what we refer to as checklist. We have a checklist for all stages of construction, from lot preparation, foundation type, rough ends, framing, sheetrock, insulation, sheetrock, right on through the stages of construction. We have a checklist, and that we ask for the we ask for the builders to fill out. That is posted on our what we call builder trend for our builder managers to process and manage. So we have a great deal of insight on quality control.
Okay. And you talked a lot about communication. How do you keep homeowners informed and involved throughout the construction process?
We have several ways. We really ask up front how a customer would want to be communicated with. Some people are more technical than others. As simple as a phone call, I don't prefer that. I like communication of where we can verify, from a phone call to an email to text. But we have developed through technology a Novi home, which is obviously something that we are informed with, and obviously homeowners have access to. And I feel like that is those types of communication or the a way of the future. And it's a lot of good feedback that customers enjoy the photos that we can put on there, so they can see their home if they're not right next door to it or down the street from it. Maybe they're in another city. that they don't see what's going on every day. So communication is key, in my opinion. But sources of Novi Home is one great avenue that we communicate with.
Yeah, and by Novi Home, you're referring to, the app that Red Door Homes customers and homeowners get to utilize. And it's something that you would have experience with from your very first visit with Red Door Homes. You would be communicating with your dream home consultant. You can chat and message them. They'll send you pictures. And then right on through, your build journey, your builder will be uploading weekly photos for you, maybe even some videos. So you're always being kept up to date. And like Tom said, not everyone is technology savvy, or that might not be your communication style of preference. So certainly email, text, phone call, whichever is the easiest and best way to communicate with you. But we have had a lot of our homeowners really appreciate the app experience and being able to see those weekly picture updates from their builder and be able to chat and message their builder, at any time if they've got questions. So that's really been helpful for sure. So some really great information. So next up, what are the final stages now of the build journey? Kind of bring this full circle for us.
Okay. Well, we've been on up to this point, we've been on a 3 to 4 month process, all the way from start of construction through rough ends. We do what we call a pre-drywall tour with the customers, which is essentially halfway through, just to kind of give them updates, meet on the site with them just to make sure that we have fulfilled all of their obligations to what their purchase agreement states. After that, then we do a right prior 2 to 3 weeks prior to construction being completed. We also do a process called internal delivery checklist. It's a very involved process that a builder is taking an hour and a half, 2 hours in some cases, to identify, making sure again that we're following our checklist, that we provided all of the information and what the customer has paid for. Once that is done, then we are ready for powers on the house. We are ready for what we call our dream home demonstration. So dream home demonstration is a process in which the house is 99% complete. Power is on in the home. All touch-ups have been completed. We're walking at home with the customer, not for them to point out imperfections. Hopefully, all of that is taken care of. But basically, delivering and giving them an insight on how to operate within their new home, how things operate within their new home. After that, typically a couple-hour meeting at the end. We ask the customer at that time to give us a week to 2 weeks, a week to 10 days, to fix any imperfections that may have been pointed out at that time and tie up the loose ends.
Okay, wonderful. And so now our homeowners have moved in and they're enjoying their new home. But what kind of warranty or post-construction support do you offer to our homeowners?
Sure. We have here at Red Door Homes, we have a customer care team that consists of 2 technicians in the field and one customer care manager. We have a process that we ask for homeowners to fill out. They can go online. We have a separate thing online that they can go in and fill out any warranty claim. But obviously, we discuss with them through the course of construction early on at their dream home demonstration about the warranty process and how warranties work within the house of the first year. We give them insight that, understand that your house is going to settle. Your house is going to settle for the first couple years, but more so within the first year. If in fact they find imperfections that start to appear, separation of baseboard, separation of countertop, maybe a nail pop here, a nail pop there, a lot of cosmetic things that may come up. We ask for them to create a list, hold on to that list for about 10 to 11 months, let the house settle, let the house do what it's going to do. and then go ahead and create your warranty claim for a one-time cosmetic punch that we come back and handle at no additional cost to the customer. Inside of that, if in fact they have something from a mechanical, meaning electrical, plumbing, HVAC, we ask them to go ahead and file a claim on that right away. That does not count as their one-time return. And we also carry unlike any other builder that I'm aware of in the industry, we also provide for our customers a 2-year mechanical warranty. So again, 2-year mechanical would consist of plumbing, electrical, and HVAC. That if in fact it's not covered under the manufacturer's warranty of what that claim may be, then Red Door Homes will cover that for a customer, which is very big in my opinion as a builder before. And many builders that I know in this process, they don't offer that.
Okay, definitely good to know. And it's important to consider as well, if you're thinking of, well, do I want to build new or buy something used? Obviously everything in a new home is new and you're covered under a warranty. Can be a significant savings if you do decide to buy used, and maybe that's the best option for you. But it is something to keep in mind if you're comparing the options of building something where everything is brand new and you're covered under a warranty. It can be a big advantage for sure. Tom, how do you think, or what do you think is something a lot of homeowners don't expect or are surprised by during the construction journey?
That's a tough one. What they don't expect is probably once the construction starts, really relatively how quickly the house will go up, how quickly this process is. Can't say that 3-4 years ago, but today as things kind of normalized a little bit, I think that's one of the things. And then obviously from our perspective as Red Door Homes here, yeah, I like for them to allow for us to do what they've hired us to do. Communicate, build their home, make sure that we're doing quality control. I believe that our process that we develop and provide for our customer makes the journey a little easier.
Yeah, that's definitely good to know. If you could offer one piece of advice to anyone considering building a home on their land with all of your years of experience in this industry, what would it be?
Um, well, for those that aren't customers of ours right now, if they're customers, it's a little different, but find the right builder for you. Do your research, find the right builder for you. Hopefully Red Door Homes will be that. And then advice, once you find that builder, trust in your builder. Trust us, trust in your builder, and believe in our process. If in fact you don't trust in your builder, you don't believe in the process, it's going to be a little more difficult through the journey. But yeah, trust in your builder and believe in the process.
And communicate for sure. If you see something, say something. We do the same. It's definitely a partnership, that we have with our homeowners right from the beginning. And it's an emotional journey. And so, keep that in mind as well. This is something that, you are going to invest your emotions and your time in. This is very personal. You're picking everything from, what style of interior doors you want to what your shutter colors will be. And so it can be very emotional, but it's also wonderful and very rewarding. And it's something that, we're physically building, yes, but this is truly you building your dream home. And we are here to partner with you in order to make that dream a reality. That wraps up our discussion on building your dream home. Thanks for tuning in to the Dream Home Doorway podcast with Tom. Stay tuned for our next episode where we'll explore more insights to make your dream home a reality. We'll see you soon.